Greetings, loved ones. Today we're going to talk about when it is time to leave your abuser and how you can find a safe place. Please help us get these messages out. We need the algorithms going so that these messages will be available for those who are suffering violence and for those who aren't, who can help those who are. So please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, hit that like button, and please share these messages with others because you never know, by doing so you could save a life. It's a cruel irony. The most dangerous time for a survivor of domestic violence is the moment when he or she decides to leave their abusive partner. The moment a batterer realizes that they're losing control over the victim, they often take drastic and sometimes deadly steps to regain it. Having a safety plan in place is vitally important to ensuring a survivor's safe escape from abuser's control. Even if an abuser has primarily used non-physical forms of abuse before, like mental, emotional, or verbal abuse, economic abuse, this new one called technical abuse, it's important that a survivor doesn't underestimate what could happen when he or she decides to leave. After deciding when to go, the next question is where to go. Options may include a nearby shelter, or a shelter in another city or state, a friend or family member's house, or starting over in a new house or apartment. So here are some important questions to ask if you're the survivor contemplating leaving. So here's a question. Does your abuser have a history of threatening other people in your life, such as family members or friends? If the answer to that is yes, it makes sense to assume that staying with somebody the abuser knows will put that person at risk as well. This is a recommendation by Ruth Glenn, Executive Director of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. In that case, a shelter would be your best bet. Here's another question. How close to or far from your original home do you need to be? If you're escaping with children who are in school, you might need to or feel you need to stay within that school's district, in which case seeking out a shelter or other safe housing option in your area could be the best thing for your children. If you're afraid your abuser will find you if you don't flee further away, look for a shelter that provides schooling options until you can figure out a more permanent situation. Here's another question. Do I need drug or alcohol counseling or support groups? If so, ask an advocate to help you find a shelter that offers these things on site or can refer you to a nearby program. According to the domesticshelters.org database, about 80% of shelters provide some level of counseling or support groups. So here's another question you need to ask. Do I need to escape immediately? If you have no time to make a plan before fleeing, staying with a friend or family member, preferably one that your abusive partner is not familiar with, may be your best option at that moment. It's always a good idea to then call an advocate who can walk you through the next steps to remain safe. Sometimes, says Glenn, the safest option is going nowhere at all. It may seem illogical to those of us observing what's happening to the survivor, but sometimes the safest place is exactly where he or she is right now. That's not to say that one should stay there indefinitely. Victims continue an ongoing assessment of their safety, says Glenn, and they leave when they feel they have a safe plan in place. In the moment of the violent episode, the safest place is in the presence of police. Call 911. If you need help finding a place to go, they can direct you to the local services that you need. Shelters are built to assure your safety. If you don't feel safe going to a friend or family's house or staying in your home, you can consider a temporary stay in a local shelter. I always advise, whatever the situation and whatever you decide, to have a protection and a restraining order put into place, and be sure that you don't tell a lot of people where you have gone. The less people who know where you are, the better. For our shelter, we ask survivors not to tell anyone where our shelter is. This prevents the aggressor from showing up at our gate and causing problems. You could also consider a temporary stay with a family or friend who lives out of state or far from your aggressor within the same state. Just be careful about child custody laws so you don't find yourself with unnecessary legal problems of kidnapping children. Also check out domesticshelter.org's article, Important Questions to Ask a Shelter, for things you can ask a shelter before deciding to go. If you believe escaping to a different city or state would be safer, read their article, Flying the Survivor Skies, about a nonprofit that will fly survivors to a new location free of charge. With 1 in 3 women experiencing domestic violence worldwide, the question is not if you'll encounter a victim of violence. The question before God is, what will you do when you encounter them? You could be the person who saves a life. We are all called to be champions for justice. And those who suffer need to know that those who love them and those who don't even know them will step out and reach out to give them the courage they need to leave before it's too late. Help us get these messages out. Remember, algorithms. Please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit the like button, and please share these messages with others. You never know, just by doing so, you could save a life. If you're a victim of violence, listen to me. I want you to know you are valued, you are loved, you are intelligent, you are beautiful. God does not want you to suffer violence. He wants you to live free from violence in peace and tranquility. There is a way out. It's not your fault. Abuse is not love. If you are a victim of violence, reach out to someone. If you find yourself in a dangerous situation, call 911. Tomorrow, we will talk about children and how to keep them out of harm's way when they are living in a domestic violence situation with their parents. Until then, God bless you.